happy to welcome back Mom Squad member Tamara Chilver on the show today. She's a homeschool mom of 5 children, a former elementary teacher with a master's degree in curriculum. She's joining us this morning to go over some great test-taking tips this morning. Hello, welcome back.
Thank you.
So I was going to ask you if we're kind of in test-taking season, but these days, it's kind of all year round. Our kids are always taking tests, aren't they?
Right.
So, and it is so important to make sure that they are well prepared. It makes all the difference. So you say number 1, sleep is the best way to prepare. What do you mean by, where do we start? How much sleep do we need?
Right. Well, it's recommended that school-age children receive 10 to 11 hours of sleep per night. And when I taught school in the class, I could tell a lot of children were not getting that amount. You could see them dozing off or daydreaming. So it's really important for their health, but it's also important for them to focus and have attention to be able to concentrate. And I really recommend during the season of testing, when there's big tests, to make sure that there's no late night functions, or sometimes extracurricular activities have to be postponed or put on hold for a bit, because sleep is really important. It makes a big difference.
And are we talking about the same, elementary students need that same amount of sleep as, maybe a second grader as compared to even a senior in high school?
Yes, it's the recommended amount for school age. Yes.
All right, so all of school age.
Yes.
Okay. Some examples of breakfast that will boost brain power, which again, I think some of this information, if not all of it, is great for adults too.
Yes, certainly. And a typical child's breakfast is like cereal or toaster pastries or waffles, and a lot of them have high amounts of sugar. So what happens is their blood sugar level increases and their attention level decreases. And so we have to be careful to balance out proteins with the carbohydrates. And some examples are to use milk instead of juice. And if your child likes toast, put peanut butter on toast. If your child likes fruit, put the fruit in cottage cheese or serve it with yogurt, and kind of mix it up. And hard-boiled eggs, those are great ways to, if you can't cook in the morning, just make a bunch of hard-boiled eggs for the week and serve those during the week, because those are loaded with protein. But making sure that they have protein to balance out the carbs, so you don't have those decline in attention, that sugar crash.
Well, and then it just makes you more hungry. If you just have all that sugar, I notice if you don't eat a well-balanced breakfast, then you're thinking about how hungry you are an hour later. And that's what you don't want your kids thinking about when they're taking a test.
Right.
All right. Give us some tips. I know that you have some that are often overlooked sometimes that can make a big difference as well.
Okay, this is really cool. Water. It makes a big difference. And I wish I knew this tip 20 years ago when I began teaching, because now I see a tremendous difference it makes in learning. A child wakes up naturally dehydrated, just like an adult.
Yes.
And the brain is nearly 80% water. So for it to function at its optimum capability, you need to be able to replenish its fluids. So what is recommended is, beyond their breakfast beverage, is to serve a large glass of water in the morning with their breakfast. And that's something I missed out on as a parent. For 15 years, I didn't realize. I just thought their morning breakfast drink was their milk. That was plenty, and it's not, to fully hydrate them again. And so what happens is, when you're dehydrated, your cortisol levels go up, and then your attention levels go down. And within 5 minutes of drinking a full glass of water, your attention levels are back up and your cortisol levels are balanced.
This is so good, I think, for adults too, because like me, I wake up, I sometimes forget to drink the water and just go for coffee, which is even more dehydrating. So.
And that's a good point, because caffeine will dehydrate you more, and so avoid caffeinated drinks with children in the morning.
I think seniors now and people in high school, our kids in high school now, a lot more of them are drinking coffee than what I remember, when I was in high school.
Yes. So, I agree with that.
All those caffeinated drinks.
Yeah, and I've seen it make such a big difference. Water, like my son that I brought today, he sometimes
he's in the audience this morning.
Sometimes he forgets to drink water with his breakfast. And I can tell when I'm homeschooling him, like easy tasks for him all of a sudden become difficult. And I'll ask him, did you drink your water? And he'll, oh, Mom, I forgot. And once he drinks it, within 2 to 3 minutes, he's back on task. I'm like, this is great. It's great for homework when parents are doing homework with their children and see them struggling, or study skills, or just remind children when they're in school, if they're starting to lose their focus, go get a drink of water from the water fountain.
I'm going to do this. Well, that's awesome. So let's kind of recap. Again, sleep, making sure you're getting how many hours for the kids?
10 to 11.
10 to 11 hours. Oh, how nice that would be. All right, breakfast with boosting brain power. So you mentioned the carbohydrates and protein, combining those.
Yes.
And then last but not least, making sure that you are drinking plenty of water. And then your last tip is really creating a relaxing environment as well.
Right. If they're having big tests coming up, please don't, for parents not to overemphasize it and get that anxiety going, because children will feel it and sense it. And just focus on your regular routine and what they're going to do when they get home from school that day, and upcoming activities over the weekend. And just kind of maintaining that balance. Yeah. Tests are important, and that's fine to tell your children, do your best, and you know, expect the best from you today, but you don't want to stress them out. Oh, and a great tip is, you know how children sometimes get like a nervous stomach ache before tests? Give them a peppermint. Peppermint alleviates that nausea and queasiness, and it also stimulates brain power.
I did not know that. Again, something else I'm going to do. Awesome. Well, Tamara, thank you so much for being here this morning. Always such great advice when you come on. If you would like to be a member of our Mom Squad, just send us an email.